And we're going to start right into the grains this week. Joe, you wrote a special report for our website on the macro trends in the exports, and can you kind of go through what you found out about that?
Well, the one thing I'm looking at, and it's in the free report section of the Allendale Advisory Report, and it's free to anybody and everybody that looks at this. And of course, I want you to take a look at oil seeds for soybeans, not only old crop, but also on new crop marketing, and look at, this is volume. This is exports in millions of bushels. You see how the U.S. is increasing, how Brazil is increasing. Argentina is relatively flat. But years ago, we were taking about a third of our crop and going to export with the annual production. About a third of it was leaving the U.S. Now we're something closer to 43%. And at what expense? Corn is relatively flat. Argentina, Brazil, and the U.S. But look at the Argentina wheat and look at U.S. wheat. What was 48 to 49% of annual production, we're now down to 39 to 40, call it 42, 44%. So beans higher, and at what expense? You're seeing less wheat within really three dominant markets that spans North America, South America. But look at this when you do your planning, not necessarily planting, but planning for old crop and new crop. What do you, when you harvest that new crop soybean in the October time frame, is there a potential that we could see another inverse coming in this fall? And my answer right now is yes.
Okay, and a lot of that is due to the Chinese demand situation.
Yeah, they took about out of about 21 million tons, so about 50% of everything that we produce.
Okay, and then Greg, can you show the audience where they can go to find that report?
Sure. Go to our homepage. You click on the down arrow here over on the left-hand side of the page where it says free content, and then go to free articles. And you'll see all the ones that we've stashed here for Joe. You just click on it. They're all PDF files, so you don't have to have any special programs or anything like that.
Okay. And if they're not a subscriber, they can click on subscription choices.
Well, they can still get those free articles for free without being a subscriber, but
okay, good.
They'll miss out on all the other stuff that we do.
Okay, all the really important stuff. And Rich, with all this demand, I know USDA did raise the demand for corn. Can you make any comments on that?
We certainly can here. As far as the actions USDA did, they did increase numbers for both old crop ethanol as well as new crop. We don't have too much of an argument with that here. It looks like we're beyond target for those type of numbers for corn. What I want to start out with here for the first chart, that was just simply look at the outside market impact and look at the idea that ethanol, it has slowly come back a little bit in the past few days, and that's helping to relieve some of the pressure it was put in on corn here. So keep in mind, we do have this outside market influence we've talked about many times before, and it looks like we are back to trading corn and ethanol together now. So ethanol and corn are working out together here. As far as the weather side, just wanted to point out this chart we put up here last few weeks, this soil moisture chart, and as of last week, June 5th, there are absolutely no areas which are pretty much too wet or too dry in most of the main areas here of the Corn Belt. Since then, we've looked at the 7-day precip map, and this is what usually occurs, and this is an average over the past 30 years, what usually occurs during last week, and this is from the June 7th actually up until today. Normally, we pick up maybe, this says a ½ inch up to 1.5 inches during this week. What actually happened, you've got areas, and in fact here's Nebraska, that key area there has picked up actually 6 inches, 6 or 7 inches in that key area of Nebraska. So as far as where the problems are right now, obviously it's Western Corn Belt focused. Also, keep in mind, this is #1 producer right here, Iowa, for corn, and as well as beans. Nebraska is our #3 corn producer. So while we haven't had any problems with the crop so far, now maybe we have a couple things pointing out they're all kind of watching here and maybe getting a little concerned about. And of course, we can see some areas here for northern Missouri here as well. As far as the Eastern Corn Belt, as Paul might mention here later on, everything looks pretty much fantastic right now, almost in the entire Eastern Corn Belt. As far as what's coming up ahead, as far as temperatures, looks like no major problems here as far as temps in the big picture for main areas. We will note that the southern portion of the Corn Belt will see some above normal temps in the next week. And as far as precip-wise, 6 to 10 days says above normal precip for central and northern areas of the Corn Belt here. So bottom line is we do have moisture, and it's still going to be sitting with us here in the next week. And now we have to wonder, is this a point where we have to talk about some crop concerns here? So go ahead here.
Rich, go back to 10-day. Now the areas that are still behind on planting are Missouri and little splotches in Ohio. It's not too late to plant these beans, right? I mean, with this kind of forecast?
That's exactly right. So there's not going to be any problem with planting that we see in the big picture. Guys will be happy to plant beans for next week, the week after that, and it won't be a problem as far as